you can do that. And we are now going on YouTube Live. The class runs for as long as you want it to go. And then after that, there will be Q&A. It depends on how long you want to stay with us. We are always available and ready to listen. So I do not know much about you. I would say today is my first time having your association. And I believe lots of the devotees on this platform also, this may be their first time. So maybe after the class, you may give us a little bit of your bio. I think it will be better after the class because we don't have lots of the devotees here at the moment. After the class, there will be many devotees, so they will get to know you, we'll get to know you better. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. What is your expectation? How many devotees is joining usually?
Can you repeat yourself, Prabhuji?
What is your expectation? How many devotees usually join?
It depends. Sometimes it's between 14 to 25.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, between 14 and 25. So, dear devotees, today we are very fortunate. We have His Grace, TIRTHAKARA Prabhu, who will be taking us through the SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM discuss for today. And without much ado, we're going to put the verse on the screen, and Prabhu, you take it over from here.
I wanted to ask you, Hare Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
can I ask devotees questions during the class also?
Yes, you are allowed. Yes.
Okay, nice.
Yes. It's just like a temple room setting.
And they are devotees from different countries in Africa?
Yeah, different parts of the world. Some are from Africa, some are from the US, some are from some are from South America. It's kind of
I
yes.
see. Okay, nice.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So you will play Prabhupada set you first, right? No?
It's already been played.
I see. So I can start straight away.
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll put the verse on the screen and you may start.
Okay, nice. Omagyanatimirandasya gananjanashavakaya chakshurumnitamena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stavitamena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radha Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sudadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakal Patarubhascha Kripa Sindhuveva Chapatitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Giridhar Shri Basari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from SRIMAD Bhagavatam, first canto, 18, chapter, shloka number 42. And the title of the chapter is Maharaj Parikshit is cursed by a Brahmana boy. So we are reading actually shloka 42 and 43. That's I got notification from Giridhar Puja. And since shloka 42 doesn't have a purport, so we will read one more shloka. Where is the purport? Navaindribhir naradevam parakyam samatum marasi avipakva budhe Yat tejasa durvishahena gupta vindanti padranya kuto bayah prajaha. Are you reading also word by word? Should I read this like that also? What is your usual practice? Sahare Prabhu. Should I read
Yes,
word by
that is, it's up to you. Some read the word by word, some skip and go straight to the translation.
Okay.
So it's up to you.
Okay, I can read word by word. Na, never. Why? As a matter of fact, nibhik by any man, naradevam, unto a man God, para akyam, who is transcendental, samatum, place on equal footing, arhasi, by the prowess, avipakva, unripe or immature, buddha, intelligence, yat of whom, tejasa, by the prowess, durvishahena, unsurpassable, gupta, protected, vindanti, enjoys, padrani, all prosperity, akutah bayah, completely defended, prajaha, the subjects. So the translation, oh my boy, your intelligence is immature and therefore you have no knowledge that the king, who is the best among human beings, is as good as the personality of Godhead. He is never to be placed on an equal footing with common men. The citizens of the state live in prosperity, being protected by his unsurpassable prowess. And next sloka. Alakshamane naradeva namni rathanga panavayam angalokaha tadahi chaura prachuro vinangshyati arakshamano vishvaruthavat kshanat. Alakshamane, being abolished. Naradeva, monarchical. Namni, of the name. Ratha Angapano, the representative of the Lord. I am this. Anga, oh my boy. Lokaha, this world. Tada, tadahi, at once. Chaura, thieves. Prachuraha, too much. Vinangshayati, vanquishes. Arakshamanaha, being not protected. Avivarudhavat, like lambs. Kshanat, at once. Translation. My dear boy, the Lord who carries the wheel of a chariot is represented by monarchical regime, and when this regime is abolished, the whole world becomes filled with thieves who then at once vanquish the unprotected subjects like scattered lambs. So purport. According to SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, the monarchical regime represents the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead. The king is said to be the representative of the absolute personality of Godhead because he is trained to acquire the qualities of God to protect the living beings. The battle of Kurukshetra was planned by the Lord to establish the real representative of the Lord, Maharaj Yudhishthira. An ideal king thoroughly trained by culture and devotional service with the martial spirit makes a perfect king. Such a personal monarchy is far better than so-called democracy of no training and responsibility. The thieves and rogues of modern democracy seek election by misrepresentation of votes, and the successful rogues and thieves devour the mass of population. One great monarch is far better than hundreds of useless ministerial rogues, and it is hinted herein that by abolition of a monarchical regime like that of Maharaj Parikshit, the mass of people become open to many attacks of the age of Kali. They are never happy in an overly advertised form of democracy. The result of such a kingless administration is described in the following verses. So, we have here the situation when Shringi, the son of Shamika Rishi, already cursed Maharaj Parikshit. And those who were attending those previous classes, you probably know that whole this thing what happened it was insinuated by the Supreme Lord. It was arrangement, right? And of course, it is explained that, for example, Maharaj Parikshit was so qualified as a person that he would never really get so angry for such a small thing. Therefore, nor the sage, nor the Parikshit Maharaj was really taking the situation that seriously. Although Maharaj Parikshit, when he came back, he was feeling sorry. But the sage was not really disturbed by that because he knew it's a small misunderstanding. It's not a big deal. But his son thought otherwise, and then he cursed Maharaj Parikshit. But again, it is explained because it was arranged by the Supreme Lord. The reaction for the boy was also very small for that, because he cursed pure devotee. You cannot just go around this world and misuse or abuse your power as a Brahmana and curse left and right, right? It will not come without a reaction. Everything in this world has some reaction. Every action has some reaction. So, but because it was arranged by the Supreme Lord, then the reaction for Shamikas's son was actually not really big reaction. It was some small reaction because Krishna was taking responsibility for this whole thing. And of course, the reason was that Maharaj Parikshit would be returning back home, back to Godhead, that he will meet with Shukadeva Goswami, that Shukadeva Goswami will have opportunity to speak Srimad Bhagavatam for the next hundreds and thousands of generations, which will come after Maharaj Parikshit. And for us, right, which we are sitting today here. So I was looking a little bit on this kind of similar topic about the government and the issues with the government and like that. So I was looking a little bit in Prabhupada classes. I found one class which Prabhupada spoke a little bit about that topic. So I will mention a few things from that, and I will also explain. I'll say I will quote a few things from Prabhupada. I will also say some of my realizations, also my view on that, of course, based on Guru Sadhu and Shastra. Of course, we can always speak from the level of Shastra, but at the same time, we have to also speak from the level where we are, right? Because if we are just only repeating Shastra, one thing Srila Prabhupada is writing, and also in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that the duty of a disciple is to assimilate the knowledge of a guru or Shastra, and then present it to the audience according to his capacity. So, of course, we have to make it also the palatable, right? When we are listening and discussing Shastra, it should be nice, we should feel happy when we are listening it, not that we are like, oh my God, I cannot take any more 5 minutes of this discussion. Right? So it should be live. Therefore, the personal realization is considered actually the most convincing. For example, when Gopakumar, when he met with Brahmana Jana Sharma, who he was supposed to bring to the lotus feet of Krishna, he was sent by Srimati Radharani there. He told him that in order to inspire you and to convince you about because he was supposed to bring him to the lotus feet of Krishna, so he needed to somehow inspire that Brahmana. So he said, I will tell you my life story, because life story of Gopakumar was very similar to that Brahmana. And he said, I will tell you my life story because personal experience is the most convincing. Right? Although it is generally, we don't like to speak about ourselves because we like to glorify Krishna, right? So devotee, when he speaks about Krishna, he glorifies Krishna. And sometimes he also says some of his personal realization, which maybe he has with Krishna or with the teaching of the Shastra, because in that way, we can see how we can fit this in our life, because that's the most important, because many of us, we are not yet with Krishna, right? If we will be with Krishna, well, then realizations and discussions are also slightly different. But because many of us are not yet with Krishna, so sometimes we need to hear how we can apply that knowledge from Bhagavatam in our daily life, right? Let's say in our so-called modern times. They are not so modern because after 1 year, or after 10 years, they will be already past. So they are modern just now. We think they are modern times, right? Everybody, every generation, they think that, oh, our times are modern times. And then the next generation, they think, oh, these guys, they are just old fossils, you know. So like those who are maybe who are married here, right? So their kids is I was just seeing like a funny short video, and the person was probably someone from Africa, because he was like a black skin, you know. And then he said his kid was asking, so when you were born? He said, I was born like 1975. And the kid asked him like, have you been a slave? Like, because this kid, the kids, they think, oh, this was such a long time, you know, this is history. You are all history, you are all just old fossils, guys, you know. So we always think, right, our times are the modern times. Well, every times are modern times, and then after some time they will become a history, right? So every time is like that. So therefore, the personal experience has certain value in the discussion also, and we'll come to this point also. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that when it comes to government and to ruling, so they are ruling all over the universe under this jurisdiction of Dharmaraj. He's like a, I would say, main manager when it comes to this sinful and karmic reactions and like that, you know. I mean, Brahma doesn't do that personally. Of course, the main in charge is Brahma, but the one who is taking care for how living entities are behaving in the universe is the Dharmaraj, or Yamaraj, sometimes it's mentioned, right? So you can say that there is something, there is like a bigger picture, there is a bigger government in the universe. And we have in our states, we have also local governments, right? And Srila Prabhupada is explaining that usually, that's like a demoniac philosophy, is that they say that there is no Ishvara, the supreme ruler, and everything is happening just by nature, right? But they cannot say what is the nature. They cannot explain that. So, but if you look in the structure of the world, it is always just reflecting the higher system. Like within this universe, there is a higher system of a ruling, right? For example, planetary systems and the planets, how they are moving within this universe, it is organized, it is structured. Like you will, for example, you can actually measure your time based on the planet's movements. They are so accurate, so exact, right? It never happened that you will wake up in the morning and like, what's happening with the sun? It's like half an hour late already. What happened? It never happens actually in the universe. Everything is on the time. That means there is a good management going on. You know? So if you see that the things are moving very nicely, according to the proper management, then you can also see that the management is very intelligent. The management is working very well. Of course, lower it goes, the management, especially in Kali Yuga, what is mentioned here, that it will, if this power of the kings will be taken from those good kings, then it will be degradation of the whole society. Well, the point is that of course, there is another thing, that there is a plan of Krishna. And the age of Kali has to also flourish in a sense, because each time in the universe has certain purpose. So age of Kali has also dedicated certain time in the universe. It won't, how to say, everything, even Kali personified when he was beating the cow and the Maharaj Parishik, you know, arrested him and wanted to punish him, first kill him, but then later on punish him. Anyway, at the end, he actually gave him the places where he can function. And he was very much restricted till the death of Maharaj Parikshit. After Maharaj Parikshit died, then Kali started to, let's say, expand his powers, and he started, you would say that he would flourish actually in his business. You know? But he needed space for that. But that's how it is in the material universe. There is always Satya, Dvapara, Treta, and Kali. Sometimes the Treta and Dvapara, they switch. That happens when the Krishna comes personally from Goloka Vrindavan. When he comes, that Dvapara Yuga switch with Treta and it goes into third place. But otherwise, there are always these 4 ages in that line. And there is always similar happening in each age. So everything has its place in this life. So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that who is controlling nature, that you may not know because your knowledge is very poor. He speaks about materialism, but nature is controlling you. That you can understand. Everyone can understand that. You cannot supersede the laws of nature, right? What is it? Mama Maya Duratya, Mama Vai Prapadyante, right? You can somehow understand certain level of control in this life. Although people, they will have tendency to think that they are independent. And you can also think, for example, that you are independent of the government. You can think that you can do whatever you want to. Those people are called criminals. In each country, there is, Sahadev Prabhu, you mentioned that there is devotees from several countries here, right? You're living in Africa, Sahadev Prabhu?
I'm in the States.
In the States. Who is in Africa? Who is someone here in Africa? Directly in Africa?
Salika is in Africa. Let me see.
Which country in Africa?
Nigeria.
Nigeria, okay.
Yes.
Is someone from Ghana here also?
Yes.
Ghanaians are many here.
Yeah, Arti Priya is.
Arati Priya, Ghana? Which place in Ghana? Accra, maybe?
Accra, yes.
Please, Accra.
Accra. I was there twice, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know. Good.
Yes, I visited Accra and Agona Svedru and some more places. You know.
Wow. Did you go to Kumasi?
No, maybe, wait a second. You know, it's already so long, it's like more than 10 years, you know, but I still remember like they were calling me Obruni, you know.
Yes.
Obruni. Yeah. And then I remember it was like Medasi, was like thank you or something like that. Right?
Yes, you're right.
Medasi.
Yeah.
I think that you have some similar words from Nigeria, right? Some words are maybe similar. But they told me in Ghana they have like 40 languages or something like that, you know. So,
yes. It's even more in Nigeria.
Same, huh? So you have some like different, but they can communicate between themselves with those languages, or is completely different?
Some of the dialects are close. They can communicate with each other. Others are very, very distinct. You cannot.
Well,
some are like British English, Australian English. So they are different, but they are mostly the same. And then you have others that are like English and French, or English and Russian. So you don't understand a single word. So it depends.
Oh yeah. So that can create actually quite some disturbance between people, because if people cannot communicate properly, then even sometimes when people speak same language, they have troubles to actually communicate properly, right? What to speak if they speak different language, you know? And people they think that if they live in these different countries, that some people, they can think that, oh, I'm independent, I can do whatever I want, you know? And generally we are calling those people criminals, right? Because when they are overstepping the law or overcoming the law, then they are punishable also by the law. Well, a similar way, the jivas, or living entities in this material world, they are also criminals. We are actually all criminals in this material world. And same as you have, how to say, if you judge criminals according to their crime what they did, So you can give them different type of sentence for that, right? So some people, let's say if someone is coming from maybe very rich background, or maybe he is like some important person, and he does something wrong, he will not get same type of punishment or same type of prison. For example, I'm originally from Czech Republic, although I don't live there now, but I'm from there. And there was one famous football player who committed a crime, not a big deal, but he did some crime. So he ended up in a prison for maybe a year or 1.5 years, something like that. And then so when he came out, they made an interview with him. How was it? And then he said that actually it is not same as anybody else goes to prison. He said that there is actually a section in a prison for VIP persons, and they have much better treatment. Srila Prabhupada is explaining that if someone is, for example, some government officials, and then they go to prison, then they can get maybe some nice room. They can get maybe regularly coming newspapers, they can get a little better food, they can get maybe a little more freedom, they can go maybe more frequently outside on a garden or whatever, so the treatment is different. The same way, in this material world, we have also different levels of this prison, right? Also, you can see in let's say on this planet, you have people who are born very rich. Then you have people who are functioning in their life maybe on some middle level, and then you have people who are functioning very poor, right? Then the same division, let's say, is with the animals. You have animals which are, let's say, first class, second class, and third class. For example, you have a lion and you have a dog, right? So lion, he is actually like a first class animal because he's a king of all animals, right? And then you have maybe a dog or some other animals which are considered lower, right? So according to that, they have also different type of enjoyment, those animals. Then, of course, you have the similar thing with the trees or plants. Some trees, they are giving mango and some nice fruits. But some trees, they don't give anything, and they can be just used for the fuel. And you can say in a sense that they are useless. They just one-time use. You cut it down, you burn it, it's gone, or you make paper from it or something, and it's gone, right? But let's say if you have some fruit tree, then they are giving you every year fruit. So these trees are usually not cut down till they function properly, right? So they can live much longer life, and they are more protected. So you have better facilities in life. The same way you have also between the animals, right? As the Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam is explaining that tat vag visarko janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abadavati api namani anantasya shonkitani yat shrimanti grinanti gayanti grinanti sadavaha. Right? That this literature, the Bhagavatam, it's compared. Like even within the literature, you have divisions, right? You have literature which is, let's say, Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental literature. Then you have literature which is in mode of goodness. Then you have literature which is in mode of passion. And then you have literature which is in mode of ignorance, right? For example, when you have some criminal activities or some sexual literature, that's in mode of ignorance, right? Then you have this daily news all the time. It's so much passion, right? So much happenings in that. Then you have maybe some description of a nature and some beauty of the nature. So it's maybe a mode of goodness. So the same way as this shloka is describing, that there are different types of birds. Some are crows and some are swans. And the swans, they are living in very nice places, very clean lakes or such a reservoirs of waters. And then you have crows, right? And here we have in front of our window quite a big pack of crows. They are roaming around and eating all possible garbage they find on the street. Someone drops something, so they always pick it up and eat it and like that, right? So Srila Prabhupada is explaining that let's say these birds, they have different type of enjoyment. So similar, those who read Srimad Bhagavatam, they also find different type of enjoyment by reading the Srimad Bhagavatam, right? I saw on that poster, which Giridhar Puja sent it, about advertising this, what you have this schedule for December. So it was written then marathon, right? Srila Prabhupada marathon. So that's the ideal time when devotees try to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam and similar literature to the conditioned jivas, which maybe are used only of a lifestyle of a crow. We, all of us, we have been also used lifestyle of a crow, but because of Mercy Srila Prabhupada, we get Srimad Bhagavatam and we get opportunity to change our lifestyle, right? And now what we do, we can give opportunity to others to change their lifestyle. So as there are different prisons and different levels of the prison, then there are also different types or levels of enjoyment and different facilities in this life, right? So the knowledge which is coming from Srimad Bhagavatam is transcendental knowledge, and it is the knowledge which is coming from the higher source. We have actually, you can say, 3 different types how we can acquire knowledge, 3 different ways. One is called Pratyaksha, one is called Anuman, and one is called Shabda. Prabhu, what does it mean Pratyaksha? Do you know? Someone know? What does it mean Pratyaksha? What kind of knowledge is this? Someone who would like to answer that?
Empirical.
One more time, Sriman Varaha Acharya Prabhu, yes? One more time, Prabhuji.
Empirical.
Empirical, yes, right? More, it can be also translated as a direct perception, right? Let's say what we see, what we hear. I like, for example, now I can say, okay, here is now light, right? Or certain things have different color, so we can say like that, right? So this is Pratyaksha. Then what is Anumana? Anybody?
Indirect perception. Induction.
Yes. Anumana means like you come to some conclusions, right? And then the last one is Shabda. So the point is that Shabda is considered the highest, because Shabda comes from the highest source who has knowledge about the things. Therefore, Bhagavatam is considered Shabda Praman, or let's say the knowledge or proof of knowledge coming from the highest source. And then Anuman and Pratyaksha are considered the lower level of knowledge. You can say they are considered 3rd or 2nd class type of knowledge. But there is one thing, there is one catch. Don't think that Pratyaksha and Anumana are completely useless. They are not. They are actually, because we are living in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd type of the world, this type of knowledge has its use also. But it is not ultimate knowledge. You cannot understand Krishna or God, who is beyond the senses, mind, and intelligence. You cannot understand him with Pratyaksha or with Anumana. You can understand him only through Shabda. But when it comes to practical functioning within this world, we are actually using Pratyaksha, and we are using also Anumana, right? For example, when you go and you sit in your car and you drive somewhere, well, you definitely function based on Pratyaksha, right? When you are driving, you function based on Pratyaksha, because you see, okay, here is a car coming towards me, I have to avoid it. That's Pratyaksha. You are using Pratyaksha on your daily life. There is also Anumana. When you sit in your car, you understand, well, my car was working yesterday, and I kind of maintain it. The petrol is there, I changed the oil, so it's supposed to work today also, right? So this is Anumana. So we are using this type of knowledge in our daily life also. But when it comes to understanding Krishna, we cannot understand Krishna through Prataksha and through Anumana. We can understand Krishna only through Shabda. This is the only way how we can understand Krishna. Although there is one thing that in Bhagavad Gita, in it says in the second verse in the 9th chapter, it says Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam Susukam Rajavidyam Rajaguhyam Pavitramidam Uttamam Pratyaksha Vagamam Dharmyam Susukam Katu. So there is also Pratyaksha, right? So this Pratyaksha means that you can experience Krishna directly through the practice. And that doesn't mean that you can understand Krishna through your senses, right? There is many proofs in scripture. Atakshni Krishna namani nam bhavet gram indriya. Sevamuka hijvaro swameva spuratiraha. You cannot understand Krishna by your material senses. Only how you can start to understand Krishna is through the tongue, by chanting the holy name and eating Krishna prasadam, right? But how we will experience Krishna is also Pratyaksha, is directly. We can experience him directly. There is no one else who can somehow tell us how to experience Krishna. We have to experience him directly. But the knowledge about Krishna has to come from Shabda. It has to come from the higher source. And of course, the practice of Krishna consciousness is one more thing I would like to mention, and then we can come maybe to conclusion and we can have some discussion afterwards, or some questions or comments or whatever. Is the application of the practice of Krishna consciousness, right? Because many of us, when we listen about Krishna consciousness, about practice of Bhakti Yoga, we hear the description of spiritual life and we think that's the way how I should live. But there is a part that we can do, and then there is a part we cannot do because of our conditioned nature. For example, we know from Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj that he considered those who were chanting less than 64 rounds, he was considered them fallen. But Srila Prabhupada gave us minimum 16 rounds, right? So we know that we should be chanting more than 16 rounds, but sometimes we cannot do that. So this is because of our conditioned nature. So we know there is certain ideal and that there is certain level where we are. And I wanted to just read one short thing, which is very interesting commentary from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It is in Sri Ishopanishad in mantra 17. And then it is regarding the practical life of a devotee. Yeah. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's actually commenting on those shloka from the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 930 till 934. And his commentary is that one should regard a devotee of Krishna to be on the right path of the saints, even though such a devotee may seem to be Sudurachara, a person of a loose character, right? Especially when it came to Maharaj Parikshit, right? Although maybe he did something small, but he was considered a saintly person, which Shamika Rishi confirmed now in these shlokas to his son, that actually he told him how it was in shloka 42. He says, because your intelligence is immature, therefore you have no knowledge that the king, who is the best among human beings, is as a good as personality of Godhead, right? So the person who maybe is on that highest platform, but sometimes does one small mistake, it cannot be judged that way, right? So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says one should try to understand the real purport of the word Sudurachara. A conditioned soul has to act for double functions. Okay, double functions means, namely, for the maintenance of the body, and again for self-realization. So we have two things in life. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that conditioned soul has to do that. We cannot avoid it. We cannot start to act only on a spiritual platform from conditioned life. It's impossible. And what will happen if we'll immediately switch into the spiritual? It's actually not spiritual. It's material with the mask of spiritual. It is another type of false ego, which many devotees, they fall into this trap. They start to imitate advanced devotees. They start to imitate advanced level of bhakti. So that externally, they are acting like they are very advanced, but internally, they are not happy and they are not peaceful and they are not satisfied. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, you cannot do that. He says, you have to act on double functions, right? And he says that you have to do for the maintenance of body and for self-realization. And then he's saying, what is maintenance of the body? That's very interesting. He says, this social status, mental development, cleanliness, austerity, nourishment, and the struggle for existence are all for the maintenance of body. So this is the thing we have to do. Social status. How do you live? What is your lifestyle? How much money you have? What car you are driving? How others are perceiving? That's a social status. It's important for conditioned soul. We are that conditioned soul, right? Then he says, mental development. What does it mean? Personal growth. You have to grow as a person. You cannot remain all the time same person which you were till now. You have to grow. You have to change your habits. You have to change your values in life. You have to change how others are perceiving you. You have to change how you yourself are you perceiving yourself. Right? This you have to do that. You cannot make spiritual progress if you will not put energy into personal growth. Some people, they think, oh, I'm just chanting Hare Krishna, this is enough. I don't need anything more. I'm just Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, right? I'm just chanting, everything is happening automatically. Wow. If you chant Shuddhanam, then yes, then is everything happening automatically. And actually, if you chant Shuddhanam, you don't need anything else. But the problem is that many times we are chanting Nama Aparadha. Sometimes Nama Bhasa stage, right? Nama Aparadha means we are chanting with the offenses. When you chant with the offenses, you need to do these other things. If you chant Shuddhanam, of course, you don't need anything. You can sleep under the tree. If Krishna will give you food, you are happy. If Krishna doesn't give you food, you are also happy, right? If you have money, you are fine. If you don't have money, you're also fine. We read such a descriptions are existing, right? Kulavachan Sriha was completely poor. He didn't have even money how to fix his house properly. And then when Krishna offered him, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered him all riches, right? All possible. He said, well, I can give you whatever you want. And he was like, I already have whatever I want. I have you, I have holy name, I have devotion, I'm fine, I don't need anything else. But we should not imitate that, right? Or we can think, oh, I don't need anything else. And then our wife is completely frustrated in the home, right? We don't have this, we don't have that, we don't have this. So how you can in that kind of mindset, you are all the time disturbed by something, right? And then you think you will sit in the morning and then you will chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. You will be fully focused on Krishna. You will not be fully focused on Krishna. You'll be distracted. And therefore we are all the time thinking, why am I after 15 or 20 years, I'm so distracted when I'm chanting, I'm so distracted. Why I cannot focus on the holy name? Well, I can give you an example, right? Those who are married, Prabhus, or ladies, right? But I would say duty of a husband is to take care for the wife. And if you don't take care for her, she will become disturbed. And if the wife is disturbed, then the husband will become disturbed too. He doesn't know that yet, right? This doesn't happen immediately. It usually flashback, it's right. You ignore your wife, ignore her, and then one point you do everything nicely, and then she's like, "Oh, right," and you are like, "What did I do wrong?" Well, you maybe didn't do wrong at the moment, but you did wrong some time ago. So why I'm saying it, okay, it looks a little funny. I hope nobody getting offended by that, Rose. And the same is with our mind. If we don't take care for our psycho-physical needs with our mind and with the body, if we don't take care for that, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur says here, right? then your mind will be giving you back that. So when you will sit in the morning and you will think, okay, now finally I can sit and chant, you will not. Your mouth will be moving, but your mind will be completely somewhere else. Because she is constantly frustrated. And then you think, okay, and now you will sit and you will listen to the holy name. And she will tell you, and now I will not. So the spiritual life, yoga means absolute balance. Right? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Yukta hara viharasya, yukta chitasya karmasya, yukta swapnava bodhasya, yogo bhavati dukkhaha. You can remove almost all material miseries by being balanced in eating, sleeping, work, and recreation. Why would be Krishna concerned that the yogi will remove material sufferings? This is just Maya, isn't it? Right? We are not this body, Prabhu. Oh, I don't feel good. I don't have money. I'm this, I'm that, you know. This Maya, Prabhu. We are not this body. Just say Hare Krishna. That works for liberated jivas, not for conditioned jivas, you know. Conditioned jivas, you have to work your ass off to fix your psychophysical condition in order that you can sit in morning and peacefully chant the holy name. It's so simple, right? Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, what was the next? Okay, cleanliness, you have to maintain your body, right? Austerity, there is should be some austerity in life. Nourishment, well, nourishment, you could say it can be like a lifestyle, right? Proper habits in the life, right? Proper eating habits, you know. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj didn't like the disciples who were getting fat. We are not the body. Yes, if you are not the body, then why are we eating so much if you are not the body, right? We should actually have proper exercise. We should have a proper meal, right? And the struggle for existence. Of course, you have to work, you have to make money, you have to pay your bills, you know, all these things, this struggle for the existence. So he said that self-realization part of one's activities is executed in one's occupation as a devotee of the Lord, and one performs action in that connection also. So we have to do at the same time chanting, serving Krishna, serving Guru, right? Serving deities. But at the same time, we have to do these material duties as well. One must perform these two different functions along parallel lines, because a conditioned soul cannot give up the maintenance of his body. We cannot give it up. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in Bhakti Aloka that if you will stop sense gratification completely, what will happen? You die. He says you will leave the body. It's not possible. It's not possible. Right? Because, okay, the proportion, now it's interesting. The proportion of activities for maintenance of body decreases, however, in proportion to the increase in devotional service. As long as the proportion of devotional service does not come to the right point, there is a chance for an occasional exhibition of worldliness. That's what we spoke, right? That you can have some fall downs. That's not the case of Maharaj Parikshit here. It was arranged by the Supreme Lord. But in our life, I believe Prabhus, when I say Prabhus, I mean ladies also. Okay, that doesn't fit only to the male body. Prabhus means all of you, right? You are all Prabhus. I'm Dasa. You are Prabhu, I'm Dasa. So this means, what was it? To the right point. So that will be, so worldliness means we will sometimes have some material hankerings. It depends, especially in the beginning, it's maybe more. When you make spiritual progress, it will be less, but there will be still something, you know. Let's say you will want to have a nice car, you know, you want to have a nice house, you want to have a beautiful wife, or you want to have a successful husband. You want to have beautiful kids. That's fine. It is occasional manifestation of worldliness, right? What Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, but it should be noted that such worldliness cannot continue for long, because by the grace of the Lord, such imperfections will come to an end very shortly. Well, very shortly not necessarily means in 1 week, okay? Very shortly, it can mean maybe 10 or 20 or 30 or 40, you know, that means, because if you look in your life, let's say you are eternal. The point is that in the conditioned state, we cannot understand eternity. Because everything what we have experienced has beginning and the end. So we cannot really understand or explain the eternity. But just for the sake of discussion, if you live very, very long, millions of years, like Brahma, so one life where you have, I don't know, 60, 70, 80, 100 years, it doesn't mean anything, right? So when Bhakti says it can be very fast, it can really happen fast even in this life, but it can take a few years, it can be very long. So therefore, the path of devotional service is the only right path. If one is on the right path, even an occasional occurrence of worldliness does not hamper one in the advancement of self-realization. Right? So if you balance our life, our psychophysical needs are fulfilled, then we can actually fully focus on Krishna consciousness. That's the goal. That means yoga. Yoga means balance. Yoga means that you are peaceful, you are balanced, you are equiposed. Why? That you can chant holy name. Then you can sit on Krishna Katha and you have no problem to sit there 2 hours and enjoy it. You are not disturbed that you have to every 2 minutes answer your message, or check something. What is the weather today? Oh, this news I didn't see. Okay. So constantly, right? Disturbance. So we have to gain somehow. The point is that if you want to practice spiritual life, you have to be somewhat materially satisfied, somewhat materially peaceful, right? And you can see that Maharaj Parikshit is explained that he was disturbed by hunger, he was tired, like that. But then it's explained in purport that type of disturbance would not lead that type of person to such a behavior. It was arrangement of the Lord. We maybe can get sometimes disturbed, right? So what we do, we live life, we are trying to live life in a balanced way. So that these disturbances, they don't come too often. And when they come, we can handle them, right? So that's the, I would say, responsibility of a devotee. So when it comes to this ruling and responsibility, so as I explained, right, you have these governments, and then you have superior government, and you have final government of Krishna, like that. But the point is that if things should function on the high levels, you have to always start with yourself. This is the only thing you can influence, right? I know that, for example, Sahadev Prabhu and SRIMAD Acharya, I can see some names, Mitravinda, right? Krishna Prabhu. I cannot influence you, Prabhus, but I can influence myself, and you can influence yourself also. And then if you'll fix ourselves, we will fix also things around us. And then when our life is fixed, then of course, at the end of the life, we can go home, back to Godhead. But if it will not be fixed, nor material nor spiritual, we will have to be born again. We have to continue with this material existence. Still, it will get fixed. And in our conditioned state, this material condition is necessary in order to be, it need to be fixed too, that we can peacefully practice spiritual life. Okay, I think I can finish here. Hare Krishna, Prabhus. Thank you very much for your time, for your attention, for your association. And please, if you can maybe tell me some of your wisdom, or if you have some question, it's also possible.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, TIRTHAKARA Prabhu. Dear devotees, I'm sure you're all enjoying the class. I particularly enjoy the class because it's very practical. It's something I can relate to, and I believe most devotees feel the same way too. So we have His Grace Srimad Bharata Prabhu. Please unmute and ask your question.
Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam, Prabhuji, and obeisances to all devotees on the platform. Thank you very much for the class. It's very inspiring. My comment is on your last statement. When you said you cannot influence us, I guess you mean you cannot control us. Of course, we cannot control somebody else, what they do, but we get influenced through association. That is why association is said to be very important, because we get influenced by the type of association we keep. So when we keep saintly association, we get influenced by that. If we keep mundane association, we get influenced by that. But we cannot control what somebody does. Sure, the only thing we can control is ourselves. But the influence is there through association. So that's just my comment. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Srimad Bharha Acharya Prabhuji. Yeah, that's I would say better use of the words.
The words,
Yeah.
I think Mitravinda is saying the same thing as Shimavara Prabhu is saying in the chat room. And I guess she's already been answered because you admitted to Shimavara Prabhu's submission. Hare Krishna, so thank you so much. Anyone else with something to share, to ask, to comment? Prabhuji, I have a question from the text without purport. That is text number 42. Let me see if I can put it on the screen. This is what Shamakarishi is telling his son, Shringi. Oh, my boy, your intelligence is immature, and therefore you have no knowledge. Because Shringi's intelligence is immature, he has no proper knowledge that the king, who is the best amongst human beings, is as good as the personality of Godhead. Shringi didn't have this knowledge. He did not have this knowledge because his intelligence was immature. Now, my question is, how do we grow the intelligence? How do we develop the intelligence for the intelligence to grow to a point that can help one acquire knowledge? Because without knowledge, we like, excuse me to say, we are like zombies. So we require mature intelligence in order to have knowledge. But the question is, how do we develop that matured intelligence? That's my question.
That's actually very good points, Harif Prabhu. Thank you very much. I already a little addressed it in the class, but I think we can elaborate more on this topic. That in order to practice spiritual life, you have to have actually, you have to become a mature person, right? Mature person means that you have mature intelligence. And for example, why Shringi was addressed here, because he was a small kid. It's explained in the other shlokas that because he was a small kid, he didn't have much life experience. He didn't know really how to judge the proper situation, what happened in life, right? So in one sense, that's not necessarily everything transcendental knowledge. It's, you would say, it's certain maturity which we actually need in our life. In order to make spiritual progress, we have to become mature people. You cannot behave like a kid, whole life, and you think that you're making spiritual progress. Right? I can give you an example, and then I will get back to your point. I can give you an example that, for example, when a small kid is standing behind the fence, and the parents will tell him, okay, whoever is behind the fence, outside, they are a bad person because he's 3 years old, and then they don't want that he will get kidnapped or something like that. And also you make it just simple for the kids. You just tell him, okay, whoever is behind the fence, don't go anywhere with them, don't talk to them, they are a bad person. So this 3-year-old, he's standing there and he's pointing at me, he's saying, oh, you are a bad person, you are a bad person, whoever pass by, he says like that. So when it is 3 years old, it's cute, right? You will not feel offended. But when this kid will grow, and then he is 35 and he's still standing behind the fence and telling to people, oh, you are a bad person, then it looks a little weird, right? So the same way, our spiritual practice, we have to grow, we have to become mature people. Well, then now you ask how to do that. Well, the first thing that there are certain techniques and there are certain practices how you can grow as a person, right? There is many ways how to do that. You can say there are some modern techniques, there are some old techniques. One thing is definitely that you associate with those who are mature. This is the most effective way, that you associate with those who are mature. You can gain some experience in life and you can learn how to properly discriminate by their help, right? Then of course there are certain, you have maybe some type of meditation, some type of relaxation. You have different techniques how to work on yourself internally, how to grow as a person, right? So we can use practically anything what can help us to serve Krishna better. One time devotees were walking with Srila Prabhupada in the park in Bombay, and there were group of people, they were doing yoga and they were standing on their heads, this headstand, and the devotees were laughing at them. And Prabhupada stopped and he said, "Don't laugh. This is very good for health." Right? So what they were doing, this was childish behavior. But they were thinking, "Oh, we are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We are much better than these fools here standing on their heads," right? But actually, they were immature in their behavior. Yeah. Although they were already following the highest path. But if you want to follow the highest path properly, you have to become a mature person. You cannot follow it foolishly, right? Sometimes it is, Srila Prabhupada, sometimes he said, first conscious, then Krishna conscious. You cannot be Krishna conscious if you are crazy, if you are behaving like a fool, right? So that's the point. What Bhaktivinoda Thakur says is the same thing, right? You have to be somehow materially well established in order that your spiritual life will be successful. The point is that chanting out the holy name works all the time. You are full, you are not full, you are situated well, you are not. It works all the time. But how potently it works, what is the potency in it, or let's say granted to you, that depends on your acceptance of and maturity, right? So holy name is everywhere here and it's same powerful. But why is that? The one devotee is making super fast progress, another devotee is hardly making any progress. Why? Because the maturity, their acceptance is different level. The holy name is same for everybody. So we have to work. And there are, like when I joined, there were many things which devotees, they were telling me, this is Maya. This is Maya, this is Maya. Everything was Maya, right? I don't know. Someone was working on himself, like for example, my wife, she is doing Theta healing and Reiki healing. These things 20 years ago, devotees were telling me this is Maya. But you know what is interesting? Majority of her clients are devotees who need help with the mental problems in their lives. But why do we need help with mental problems? You are chanting holy name. You don't need anything anymore. You're fine. You are with Krishna. The problem is we are not with Krishna. We are trying to be with Krishna. And we need to help ourselves that we can be more easily with Krishna, right? Of course, if you can just chant Shravanam Kirtanam, if you can do just this, it will be the most powerful method how to do it. And it will fix everything else. But the problem is that we cannot do just that. That's our issue. So we have to become mature. We have to use any possible technique which can help us, that we can more easily focus on the holy name, that we can actually have time and space, not just technically time, but also within our mind we find the time that we can sit with the devotees and we can discuss about Krishna. Like what we are doing now, Sahadev Prabhu, right? We meet and we discuss about Krishna. If you do this on a regular basis, that's perfect. Sahadev Prabhu, how many of your close friends do you know that they are doing this on a regular basis? That they sit at least once a week and they discuss just no social topics. How is your wife? How is family? Not this. That they discuss just about Krishna. And they find pleasure in it. And they are happy or eagerly waiting when it will come next. Not many of my devotees friends are doing that. But how is that? This is the main thing. Our life should be around that. Because we are not growing as a persons. And we are all the time sorting out same problems. I met one devotee recently. And then he was telling me some of his life things, what happened to him, and he was a little complaining about something. And I was thinking, like, I know him for many years. And I was thinking, like, he was telling me same problems 20 years ago. How is it possible that he didn't change? He still sees these same problems. Why he didn't overcome those problems yet? He's chanting 20 years, he's practicing, and he is practicing. He's not that, he's, how is it possible? Because that's the point. We can create some kind of because we want to fit in a society, right? So we will create some kind of external mask that we are a devotee, we are advanced devotee, we are nice devotee, and then we are living with this mask, and then we are trying to fill this mask, or let's say to fill these shoes. But what happens? We created another version of false ego which appears like a spiritual ego, but it's not. It's just appearance. It is actually a false ego. And I would say like that, if you want to successfully practice spiritual life, you have to come to the stage of healthy false ego. You cannot function on the stage of a sick false ego. You have to start to practice spiritual life somewhere. Perfect. But once you start to practice, you have to come to the stage of healthy false ego. In our terminology, how we are calling it? Varnashrama. That means you are properly situated according to Varna, your ashram. That's a very broad topic. Varnashrama doesn't mean that you are growing your own carrots and potatoes. That's just one of the aspects of Varnashrama. But Varnashrama, where it starts, it's us. We are the Varnashrama. Right? How we are situated in our life according to Varna and our ashram and our Varna, that our mind is peaceful, and then we can practice spiritual life. So that to be a mature person, or how to become mature, how to mature our intelligence, it's like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, there are the 6 items of a material life which you have to fulfill, right? So if you work on those very meticulously, you will grow as a person, you could say, on material level, but that will help you to grow as a person on a spiritual level too. It goes, he says, in parallel line. It has to go both at the same time, right? You cannot do just one or the other one. Both will be not success. And I saw in my life so many devotees, they were trying to do just one. And they were thinking, I don't need this other one. And they were not successful. Some people, they can push it for 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. I saw some people pushing it for 20, 30 years, like that. And then one of my close friends, after 22 years of practice, just like that. He was for the outside, perfect. He was exemplary, very surrendered to Guru, traveling around whole world, opening preaching centers, opening temples. Now he's gone. He comes maybe for Janmashtami. No chanting, no prasadam. He married non-devotee girl. It's like... Is it okay? Does it answer something what you were thinking?
Yes, Prabhuji, it does. It does a lot. But Kavikanapur Prabhu, I'm sorry, I know you have your hand raised, but I have an extension to the question I asked and the answer you gave.
Please go ahead, Prabhu. Please go ahead.
And thank you, Kavi. And that is from what Shamaka Rishi was saying, is that matured intelligence gives birth to knowledge. But we see in ISKCON, and using myself as an example, because I read the scriptures, because I hear lectures, I have knowledge of something. I can say I have knowledge of something. But when it comes to the application, I fail miserably. So in that sense, I cannot say I have knowledge because my intelligence is immature. For example, we've been reading, actually on this platform, we've heard from many speakers how to properly receive a guest. As a devotee, there is a proper etiquette of receiving a guest. Now that process, the scriptures are telling us how to receive guests. It's impractical where I live. I cannot do that. But if I simply read the scriptures and I know that this is what the scripture is saying, and I just admit everybody in my house, then I will not be here to talk to anybody. I'll be dead. So there are some people who also say, this is prashadam. It's just prashadam. Just eat it. Just honor it. But somebody may have a health condition that food may not be suitable for himself. But because it's prashadam, they say, oh, just honor it. So which means that we are displaying immaturity. Yet we are at the same time saying that we know that is what the scripture says. We are proud and very bold to say, I know this is what the scripture says. I can even quote, I can reference you where it is said. But when it comes to the application, we fail. So can we truly say that we have knowledge on something when we cannot truly put them into their right application? Hare Krishna.
I mean, you just open Pandora box, it's like so many things coming to my mind. Well, okay, let's start from here. One thing is Gyan, another thing is Vigyan, right? So Gyan means like, okay, you learn things, you memorize things, you read it, you maybe understand by your intellect. But when it comes to practical application, like remember when I was saying, like when I joined, many devotees were telling me, oh, this is Maya, this is Maya, this is Maya. But in years, I'm realizing that actually everything is more Krishna than Maya. Right? Anasaktasya Vishana Yatharam Painjuta Nirbanda Krishna Sambandha Yukta Vairagam Uchate Prapanchikata Buddhya Harin Sambandhi Vastuna Mukshuvik Parityago Vairagam Palgu Katyate. Right? That actually the one who is properly situated in renunciation, he sees how everything is connected with Krishna. And therefore, he uses everything in Krishna's service. On the other hand, if someone is not properly situated in renunciation, he's actually in so-called, Rupa Goswami is calling it falgu vairagya or false renunciation. He sees how everything is separated from Krishna. And based on that understanding, he's giving up everything. Right? He's refusing things, right? So that's actually, it's called imperfect renunciation or incomplete or false. And it is practiced by impersonalists. And the point is that we are all impersonalists. We think, no, we know Krishna is person, I'm also person. Yes, theoretically, we do know. But when it comes to practice, we are not personalists yet. We are on the way to personalism. But we are not personalists yet, right? Arjuna had the same issue in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Who is Arjuna representing?
Us.
Arjuna didn't have any problem. We do have, right? When we pray to Prabhupada, Namaste Saraswate Deve Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Right? Please, Prabhupada, remove Nirvishesha and Shunyavad from my heart. Right? So we have problem with we think we are personal. No, we are impersonalists, and we are very much strongly inclined to impersonalist concepts. Right? So Jnana and Vijnana, impersonalists, their practice is based on Jnana, right? Theoretical, studying Veda. What is it to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? Why you are laughing and crying here like some sentimentalist? You should sit with us and study Vedanta. What is this? What kind of sannyasi you are? Right? So we can study many things. Well, one thing what I found in my case, what is very helpful, that I always desired that I would like to have association with devotees and discuss with them about Krishna conscious philosophy. I'm not speaking about sitting on morning Bhagavatam class. First thing, majority of people sleeps there. Second thing, there is usually not space for a discussion. That has to be there, I'm not saying. But it has to go more deeply. That's not enough. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj, Gorkishas Babaji Maharaj, they were meeting every day. It's Svanara Sukada Kuch discussing about Krishna. 6 Goswamis meeting every day in Vrindavan discussing about Krishna, right? Bodhayantas parasparam kathayantam chamamnita tushyanti charamanticha. What devotees they do? They meet together, they find pleasure about discussing about Krishna and things connected with the Krishna conscious philosophy. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you have to practice Ishtakoshti. That means you sit together with your friends and you discuss Krishna conscious philosophy from different angles, because you can read at home and you think, oh, this is Krishna consciousness, right? Here, our African Krishna consciousness is the best, right? You born in Africa, Sahari Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Nigeria?
Yes.
Nigeria? Okay.
Ghana.
Ghana. Okay,
Yes.
Ghana. So you think, oh, in Ghana, we do best Krishna consciousness, right? And then you come maybe, you said you are not in USA. You come to USA, that Krishna consciousness. You have to take it with a pinch of the salt, right? So we can think like that. But when we sit with our friends in Krishna consciousness, and then we realize, oh, this is also Krishna consciousness. Oh, this is also Krishna consciousness. I was thinking only this is Krishna consciousness. So what I did, I was meditating on that, and then I started to educate devotees, and I created study groups, and now I have around between 8 to 10 study groups. So I have every week between 8 to 10 sanghas when we sit together and we discuss about Krishna and the Krishna conscious philosophy. And we have different study groups, some groups we do Bhakti Shastri, some groups we study Bhagavatam, some groups we do Krishna book, some groups we do Bhagavatam, we do different things, but we discuss Krishna conscious philosophy from different angles. Like I said something, right? And then immediately SRIMAD Varahacharya and Mitravinda, they point out, oh, Prabhu, you said it like that, actually it should be maybe said like this. Thank you, Prabhu, amazing. Without you, I would not figure out that, right? So therefore, association of SRIMAD Varahacharya, Prabhu, immense benefit for me. That's how we will become mature, that we see it with others and we respect their opinions. Doesn't matter if someone is here 1 year or someone is 10 years or someone is 50 years, right? Of course, those who are 50 years, we are more eager to listen. But I have my experience that sometimes I have in Sanghas devotees who are maybe practicing, I don't know, 2-3 years, something like that. But they say their experience and it's amazing. Wow, I would not think like that, right? So we will mature that when we start to intimately associate with devotees, and their association is based on Krishna consciousness. We put Krishna consciousness, Krishna Katha, Shri Prabhupada, Bhakti Yoga in the service of discussion, in the center of discussion, and we associate with others on their level. So in this way, we can grow, right? We will learn the proper etiquette. Like, for example, in my sanghas, we never discuss politics. We never discuss like a issue. If we address some issues, we are always trying to address issue from the Shastra point of view, how it can be sorted out in a life. We never discuss any particular persons, never, right? So we go according to the right way. And then I can see how people are growing. I mean, the point is that, okay, I can see, you can say, oh, what do you see? But then I hear from the leaders of different centers, who devotees from their centers are also in my study groups. And then they call me and they say, this person he changed so much. Because we together sit and we discuss about Krishna, so you will just grow, you will mature, right? So that jnana will become vijnana, because you read something and you think, how does this relate to my life? And then one devotee will come and he said, I did this and this because I read this. And then you see, oh, like that it can relate to my life. Now I know, perfect. But how can you do this on your own? It's not possible. Does it make sense?
Oh, so much. Yes, thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes. So Kavikanapur, Prabhu, please unmute, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you very much for your wonderful lecture. I really enjoyed, very deep. Sorry, although I'm driving, I will off my camera so that I will concentrate.
Okay.
So Prabhu, thank you very much for the wonderful lecture, very deep indeed. Although in the beginning I was going off and on, but I picked something when you were talking about in the beginning, when your wife was learning Reiki, and devotees were saying Maya. But now it's helpful even for devotee mental condition also. So my question is more or less like from my own personal experience, and from what I've seen others also who are struggling to become spiritual also. We see that sometimes when devotees come into a devotional service, and maybe in the beginning when they have the anarthas of smoking, I've seen many of these in my years of staying in devotional service. And as time goes on, they try to chant, and they are chanting, and at a point of their spiritual life, you see that they are falling back to that the same situation. And also, I've seen also sometime also in my own case, many times I have my own weakness also. And for many years I've been chanting. And also at a particular time after chanting, and that will come, and in my mind I'll be thinking, this is a test from Krishna. But if I'm not strong to be able to withstand this test, why Krishna is giving me? So even though I'm chanting, but you see that time and times again, devotees, they fall back to their weakness, you know, their whatever weaknesses they have in the past. And before you know, they start looking for philosophy in the scripture to make themselves happy, even while they are doing that. So how can we understand this, Prabhu? Is it that Krishna sometimes he doesn't a test that we cannot withstand, or what is going on? Thank you, Prabhu.
Well, the point is that there are a few things, right? It's never like one thing is that we should never justify whatever nonsense we do. We should not justify it, or we should, let's say, I would say, we should not make philosophy out of it. But the point is that there can be certain measures which can be used at certain time, which are not applicable maybe for others. I will tell you one example. When Srila Prabhupada was here on this planet, there was one person who became later on his disciple, who was addicted to drinking wine. And he said this to Prabhupada. He said, I like this, your philosophy, Krishna, chanting, everything nice, but I'm very much attached to drinking wine. And Prabhupada said, it's okay. Whenever you want to drink wine, you offer the water which is in the wine to Krishna, then drink this type of wine. And of course, after some time, that person came and he said, oh, I'm not drinking wine anymore. Right? I stopped. So if you look on that instruction, that's not Pancharatra Pradipa instruction. You cannot do that. What kind of instruction is this? But the point is that the guru, he saw the level of a disciple, right? He saw that there is attraction to Krishna. At the same time, there is attraction to Maya. So how to make it that he will become more attached to Krishna? So in the beginning, he gave him kind of like a funny instruction, not really shastric order. You cannot do these things, you know. You cannot say that, oh, a certain level you can offer wine and you cannot do anymore. No, it's not like that, right? So, but it worked. So the same thing we have to apply in our life. We have to see what is my weakness. Like I remember one Prabhupada disciple, Manidhar Prabhu, he always said, I like this, his statement. He says that first moderate, then stop. Many times what devotees do, they first stop. And they are holding the dam, right? They're holding the dam till it is too full and then the water goes over, you know. So we first moderate, then we will stop, right? So there can be things. Of course, we have to see where we are. Like you said, that sometimes people devotees, they go back to their habit. Well, we have to see why are we going back to our habit? Because you know what is happening? We have to be somehow emotionally satisfied. And this emotional gap, what we all have, Prabhus, only way how it can be filled is by the nectar of Krishna's pastimes. This is the only way how all Krishna's name, of course, that's the same thing, right? Chanting the holy name, saying Krishna. This is the only way which can fill up that gap, that emptiness we feel. So we have to, from beginning, very strongly cultivate our Shravanam and Kirtanam. If we have very good quality Shravanam and Kirtanam, regardless what ups and downs you will have in life, you will always come out victorious. But many times, therefore I asked Sahadev Prabhu how many people he knows who are doing regular discussion about Krishna. Many times we try to fill up this gap that we are more strict, you know, we are more rigid in our practice, we are more neglecting our body, you know, we are applying those yogic methods, you know, or those impersonalistic methods. But the point is that they will not fill up this gap in our heart. This can be only filled up with the relation with Krishna. when we connect with Krishna, that emotional gap can be filled. Why we want to smoke? Because we are missing Krishna, but we don't know that, right? So the most effective, the same thing what said Prabhupada to his disciple. The most effective is that we become attached to Krishna, regardless what are the wrong habits we do have. Because once we will become attached to Krishna, all these things will gradually go away. I don't know. Did I going to the right direction with that point?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Just like what you said, that's the point I was trying to bring out. That no matter whatever bad habit we have, we are supposed to be attached to Krishna. But in the eyes of the materialists or the material other people, they see that as hypocrite. So how can we understand this also?
One more time. Can you say this one more time?
Like what the last sentence you just made, that no matter whatever our bad habit we have, we need to be attached to Krishna. So I'm saying that is another point that I'm trying to bring out from my question, that yes, it's true. Whatever situation we find ourselves, we should be attached to Krishna. But in the eyes of the other people in the world, when they see devotees in this kind of situation, they call that hypocrites. So how can we be able to balance this?
Yeah. Well, there is a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu give a clear order to Raghunath Goswami, right? That you act like a wife who is having a lover. So you have a secret lover, right? This keeping on for yourself, or let's say for intimate friends, like a devotee, something like that. And from outside world, you can appear as a perfect, very successful materialist, right? That's what when Gadadhar came and he met with Pundarika Vidyanidhi, and he was saying like, who brought him there? I can't remember now. Anyway, if someone remembers, maybe you can just drop it, Prabhu, in a message or just say it. Gadadhar Prabhu came with one devotee and they met with Pundarika Vidyanidhi, right? And then Gadadhar was asking this devotee, Mukunda, yes. And then he was asking like, why have you brought me here? I mean, it's just another materialist, Vishai, he said, right? He's a sense enjoyer. Why you brought me here? So even for such an experienced devotee like Gadadhar Prabhu, he appeared like total materialist, right? So it's not necessary that we have to all the time give this a vibe how devoted we are to Krishna. But the point is that we have to become devoted to Krishna. That's more important. Not that others, we are all the time showing to others, oh, I'm so devoted. Look how I'm devoted. Look my tilak, you know. I'm only wearing dhoti, you know. I'm only having shaved hand, you know. I'm only, you know. But at the end, inside we are attached to so many other things, right? So the point is that we have to cultivate our attachment to Krishna. And that's what Bhagavatam says, Dharma svanusya sakpumsha visvasana katasya not padit yadiratim shrama eva hikevalam. Bhagavatam says that you can become expert in all your prescribed duties. But if execution of those prescribed duties does not lead to the point that you become more and more eager to hear the glory of the Supreme Lord, then all this your endeavor is just based on the time. So we can actually concentrate everything in our life that we will somehow manage that our eagerness to hear the holy name, chant the holy name, and hear Krishna Katha is increasing more and more. And you have very practical, you can very easily verify. Am I attached to discussing with Krishna, about Krishna with devotees? Or am I not, right? When was the last time I see the devotees I spoke with them Krishna? Oh, it's like 2 months. Then maybe I should work on it a bit, you know, right? So I believe...
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yeah, does it make sense? Yeah.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much. Prabhu, you're speaking from India, right?
No, actually, I'm speaking from Slovenia.
Oh, Slovenia, okay.
Slovenia, it's
that's Europe, all right.
Yes.
So, I think it's about it's about, let's say like 12 noon here. So it's about 5 o'clock your time, 6 o'clock?
5:30, yeah.
5:30 p.m. Okay. Okay, so if you still have some time, I think we can go a little more. I think a few devotees have questions.
Okay, then I see Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, yes. I just wanted to say something really quick. I am so happy to hear you say how you have like groups. Now you have groups that you just discuss, just talk about Krishna, And I have one god brother, and I'm so happy he's here today. Jagannath Pandit Prabhu, my big god brother. And we don't talk all the time, but every time we talk, out of nowhere, we do not plan. Out of nowhere, it's just Krishna Katha. And it's so nourishing, So now I know it's a very good practice. So brother, we have to keep doing that. Hare Krishna. Okay, Chakra Prabhu, please unmute.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, thank you very much for your class. Thank you. Very nourishing. Very nourishing. About the question Kavi Kanapu Prabhu asked, my personal realization about it is that sometimes devotees, when we have a bad habit and we join devotional service and we start chanting, and somehow the other Guru and Krishna gives us the opportunity to always be around devotees, and somehow or the other we may think that, oh, that bad habit is gone. And once we realize that, instead of being thankful and being, very appreciative to Guru and Krishna and all that, then we begin to brag about it. Oh, I used to be like this. I used to be like this. Now I have overcome my. Then out of nowhere, somehow or the other, Krishna arranges and we will be alone at a corner where no devotee is there to check us, and that thing is made available in front of us. That is where we realize that we have not overcome that desire at all. That is, so I'm thinking is the way we usually think that we instead of being appreciative and being thankful that Krishna is gradually taking us, Guru and Krishna is gradually helping us out of the situation, we start bragging about it. And then when the ultimate test is given us, we fail. And sometimes once we fail, we don't want to come back again. We remain there, we remain down. So it's like a personal realization that I have known that we should be very careful and be very thankful to Guru and Krishna, and that still pray to them that, please, this habit, please, I beg you, don't let it come back. So in this way, somehow or the other, they always arrange that even when that desire comes, there will be somebody around us to check us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
As association of devotees, we have to, actually, that's what Rupa Goswami says, this is the only price you have to pay. Spiritual life is for free. But you have to give one price. You have to pay one price. And that's a laulyam. He said that eagerness to be in the association of a sadhu. So this, and the point is, Prabhu, is that all of you are sadhus here. Now I have sadhu sangha. Maybe someone is this big sadhu, someone is this big, someone like this. But all, when you speak about Krishna, when you speak about Prabhupada, you manifest sadhu. You manifest some sadhu, this much, doesn't matter, but you manifest sadhu. So this is called sadhu sangha, right? So we have to hanker after sadhu sangha all the time. This is the price we have to pay. So even if devotees are not there, then just one devotee called me a few days back. And he was telling me, oh, I would like to have like some more association of devotees. And I told him, okay, so I have these study groups, I have this sangha, so you can join some of those study groups. I'm living I'm like more for the simple living, and I am not having internet, I don't even have a smartphone and like that, and I prefer like this. And then he started to like talking like that, and then I was thinking like, he thinks he's so simple, but actually he's so complicated. My God, After half an hour, I was thinking, I never met more complicated person in my life. And he was thinking he's so simple. He was not. Because I told him, simple solution, then just pay the internet per month and join our sangha. Your solution is done immediately. Instant solution. No. And you have to pay some price. Or okay, sit in the car and drive once a week to some devotees association and do something. You have to make yourself available, right? Like, especially nowadays in this virtual age, I see the guys here, PRABHU is here, then Kavi Karnapur, they are driving, then who's speaking now?
Hare Krishna.
This was, where is it? Hari Chakra Prabhu, right? He was also behind the wheel. These guys are driving and they are making time to be in association of the devotees. You don't have to sit at home and meditate with the incense around you, and have finally sung. No, look at them, they are driving, they are having the association of devotees. So just be simple, right? But you have to have a will. You want to desire the association of devotees, then you will get it. And look, I was desiring association of devotees, and I was always thinking, where will Krishna provide for me this association of devotees now? And at one point, Krishna is Paramatma, he's giving intelligence, right? This is in second canto, in third chapter of Bhagavatam, it's explained that Paramatma is providing the intelligence. We cannot function without Paramatma, we'll be completely stupid. Even bad intelligence is provided by Paramatma, Hare Krishna, right? So Krishna finally at one point gave me intelligence that you have to make these sanghas. Nobody will do it for you. So I started to create one group after another, and I have every week 8 to 10 sanghas, devotees. So amazing, right? Almost every day. Sometimes twice a day.
So Govinda Prabhu, okay, go ahead, please.
Hare Krishna.
This is Govinda Prabhu. Sorry, I saw just here on a Zoom, written your.
Yeah,
Hare Krishna.
He has a different name.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, I've enjoyed your class, and I've